The Galactic Military Academy's survival training dome hummed with atmospheric processors as Instructor Krelvan surveyed his diverse class of cadets. His four eyes blinked independently, a sign of his species' evolutionary advantage in tracking multiple threats. Today's lesson would separate the tactically gifted from the merely adequate. Cadets, his translator chip converted his clicking mandibles into standard galactic common. You have 60 seconds to improvise a weapon from your environment. Begin. Ariel didn't run. While her classmates scattered across the simulated wilderness, she simply knelt and began working. Her fingers moved with practiced efficiency, stripping a branch, testing its weight, snapping it at precise angles. Wendell, stationed at the observation deck above, leaned forward with interest. As the Academy's human liaison officer, he'd seen this pattern before. His species had a reputation, one that made other races simultaneously nervous and curious. The Vexorian cadets, with their natural armor plating, struggled to conceptualize vulnerability. They eventually settled on rocks, blunt, simple, effective for their strength. The Quilarian, a floating gaseous being, managed to ionize air particles into a weak plasma field. Impressive, Wendell thought, but predictable. Ariel was on her third weapon. Instructor Krelvan's translator emitted a sharp whistle. Time's up. Present your weapons. The cadets formed a line. Each held their improvised armament with varying degrees of confidence. Krelvan moved down the row, offering curt nods or clicking disappointment. Then he reached Ariel. She stood surrounded by an arsenal. 47 distinct items lay arranged at her feet in neat categories: piercing, slashing, bludgeoning, ranged, incendiary, chemical, and Wendell squinted at the labels she'd scratched into the dirt. Psychological warfare. Explain, Krelvan demanded, his translator barely concealing his confusion. Ariel picked up the first item. Sharpened branch modified into a spear, weighted for throwing or thrusting. She set it down and grabbed another. Rock wrapped in fabric torn from my uniform sleeve, creates a flail with significant kinetic impact. Another. Hollow reed filled with crushed irritant berries becomes a blowgun for chemical deterrence. She continued for 3 minutes straight. This, she held up what appeared to be a simple vine, is a garrote. This, a curved piece of bark, channels and amplifies sound to disorient opponents with sensitive hearing. These stones arranged in a pattern create a psychological barrier. Most species instinctively avoid stepping over deliberate geometric patterns. Buying escape time. Krelvan's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. The exercise was to create one weapon. Sir, you said improvise a weapon. You didn't say only one weapon. Ariel's expression remained neutral, but Wendell caught the slight upturn at the corner of her mouth. On Earth we have a saying, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Redundancy ensures survival. The Vexorian cadet Tachar rumbled in his deep baritone. This is excessive. What threat requires 47 responses? Wendell descended from the observation deck, his boots crunching on the simulated forest floor. Any threat, he said, drawing the class's attention. Every threat. That's the human perspective. He walked to Ariel's collection, pointing at each category. Humans evolved on a death world. We weren't the fastest, strongest, or most naturally armed. We had persistence, pattern recognition, and paranoia. He picked up a sharpened stone attached to a handle with braided grass. We learned that the lion who kills you is the one you didn't prepare for. Ariel added, every human child plays a game called What Would I Do If? We scenario plan compulsively. Zombie apocalypse, alien invasion, shipwreck, lost in the woods. It's entertainment, but it's also training. Krelvan's upper eyes focused on Wendell while his lower eyes examined the weapons. This is why the Coalition hesitated to admit Earth to the Academy. Because we're creative problem solvers? Wendell's tone carried an edge. Because you see problems everywhere. Krelvan gestured to the other cadets. They found adequate solutions. You found an armory. Adequate gets you killed, sir. Ariel's voice was respectful but firm. In combat, you don't get to choose your circumstances. You adapt or die. These weapons represent different scenarios. Close quarters, ranged engagement, multiple opponents, larger opponents, environmental hazards. She picked up what looked like a simple stick with a weight on the end. This is an atlatl, a spear thrower. My ancestors used these to hunt megafauna to extinction. The principle is 12,000 years old. but it increases throwing distance by 300%. Old doesn't mean obsolete, T'Char shifted his massive frame. You humans always reference your history. We evolved beyond such primitive violence. Wendell smiled, but there was no humor in it. No, you evolved in violence, then your species achieved sufficient technological supremacy to forget it. Humans never got that luxury. We fought each other for so long that fighting became cultural knowledge, passed down, refined, innovated upon. He picked up Ariel's psychological warfare section, a collection of items designed to frighten, confuse, or demoralize rather than harm. Other species study war. Humans are war. It's in our literature, our games, our art, our sports. We turned combat into a science, then an art form, then entertainment. Krelvan's mandibles slowed their clicking. He was reconsidering something. The exercise was designed to assess tactical thinking under pressure. Then Cadet Ariel passed, Wendell said. She didn't just think tactically. She thought strategically, logistically, and adaptively. She prepared for scenarios you didn't even present. The instructor's four eyes all focused on Ariel simultaneously. Why 47? Why not 50? Why not stop at 40? Ariel shrugged, a peculiarly human gesture that translator chips never quite captured properly. I ran out of time, sir. Given another minute, I'd have had 53. Silence filled the dome. Then unexpectedly, Krelvan's translator emitted a sound the class had never heard, clicking laughter. The Coalition invited humanity to join the Galactic Military Academy because the Kronar War demonstrated one truth. When conventional forces fail, you want humans in your corner. He surveyed the class. They don't fight fair. They fight to win. He turned back to Ariel. Outstanding work, Cadet. Though next time perhaps demonstrate restraint. You're making the other species nervous, Ariel grinned. Sir, respectfully, if they're not nervous, they're not paying attention. As the class dispersed, Wendell walked alongside Ariel, keeping his voice low. 47 weapons in 60 seconds. That's a new record. Could have been 53, she replied, disappointment evident. Wendell laughed.
That's exactly what makes us dangerous.
Every other species in the galaxy knows when to stop. Humans? We just keep asking what else could kill me, and then we prepare for it. Is that such a bad thing? He looked out at the stars visible through the dome's transparent ceiling. Out there in the vast darkness, threats both known and unknown waited. The galaxy was full of species more advanced, more powerful, more naturally equipped for survival. But none of them were human. No, Wendell said finally. It's exactly what the galaxy needs.